In building up the Hachita, I thought I would do something a little bit different and build it up with downtube shifters. Haven't used those in a while, and I thought, you know, what the heck. Right downtube shifter is for shifting, and it's operating a 1x system. In this case, GX Eagle works great. That did, however, leave me with a spare downtube shifter. What to do with it? I gave it a think and thought, why not use it as a lever for a dropper post? This would be the perfect blending of kind of the retro and new. Surprisingly, the hack is pretty simple to do, a little bit goofy, but in doing this, you get to know a little bit more about your bike, learn about new parts, and just kind of celebrate the way that you can make a mechanical analog bike your own. With all that said, let's put together a downtube dropper. The first part of the puzzle is to get a dropper that will work with this. This is a PNW Coast dropper. Built-in suspension. One thing I love about it is that it is externally routed, so it makes this possible and a lot easier to move from bike to bike to bike. The way that this works is you take a regular shift cable, and this is what actually actuates the dropper action. As you can see, there's a bit of spring to it already. And what we need for the dropper to work is to momentarily pull the cable so it releases, you know, the science and the saddle goes up or down, and then to quickly snap it back. Okay, so we've got our shift cable, and I'm just going to thread this through the guide on the bottom bracket. And this is about as easy as it gets, guys. Okay, so this is threaded through. When I posted the video of the dropper on the grams, people were freaking out. Why didn't I use housing? Clearly there are no housing stops. I could put some housing and it would just fall down. Not really necessary. If you're worried about the frame, you could get those little rubber donuts. I don't have any. This isn't GCN, so I'm just going to put one of our party paste stickers to help protect the paint. And also another thing to note is that this bike is steel. It's not made out of butter. A little cable contact isn't going to destroy it. Okay, so we've got our cable, and I'm just putting it through the downtube shifter. And this is where I had to get a little creative. If you remember, we stuck the cable end on the dropper side, and that means we somehow have to find a way to prevent this cable from slipping through. In a normal installation, the cable head would go here. So I had some options. At first, I thought it was necessary to kind of solder, and then someone in our Discord group suggested using something called a NARP, which is a BMX term for droppers. It's like a non-soldered cable head. So that's what we did. So this is what that looks like. It's basically a barrel. You put the cable through, and there's a grub screw to kind of tension it in place. So to install this, we're just going to slide it over the cable like so. There's our grub screw. Take out as much slack as you can and just tighten her down. So you could put some thread lock. I gave myself a little bit of slack here in case this slips, but in my experience so far, it doesn't slip. The final piece de resistance is these cable ends by Yokozuna. It's kind of a fun alternative. I'm a big fan of the Forager cable cherries, but I wanted to see how this would work. And it's pretty simple. So again, there's a barrel here. This slides over, and as you spin this up, it compresses on the cable, and basically you've got a reusable cable crimp. And there you go. That's pretty much it. A dropper lever doesn't have to do a whole lot. It's not indexed or anything. It literally just has to pull some cable to actuate the dropper, lock it back in place. If you want to get super fancy, you can just loosen all the friction here. Maybe put some thread lock just so it doesn't fall off by accident. So you can actuate the lever, and the spring from the dropper will naturally pull it back into place. So there you go. You don't have to do the whole manual thing. This works great. So I'll show you how this works in use. We actuate the dropper. Let's say you're sitting on the bike. Let it go. And there you go. You've dropped the saddle. Let's say you want to raise it. You kind of unseat yourself. And then there you go. there's your hack for the week. Super simple to do. Is this something you want to use when mountain biking? Probably not, but I think would actually work well for a gravel bike. It's definitely a little bit handier to use than, say, a height right or even one of those seat actuated levers. I think it's a fun, unique hack, something you can do to make your bike a little bit different. I mean, what boring of a world would we live in if we all had the same transmissions and couldn't do anything different with our bikes? Am I right? If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel. As you can tell, we're pretty unsponsorable by the mainstream bike industry. Pick up some stickers, some shirts, better yet, join us on Patreon. And as always, keep the supple side down.